SuperTalk.fm. Also streaming from that SuperTalk Mississippi app and your local SuperTalk Mississippi radio station. And don't forget to watch us if you can. We are on your computer, your mobile device. Just head on over to SuperTalk TV. Now, it's hard to believe that we're coming up on the 20th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. And while that may not have been a very good thing at all, how Mississippi bounced back and showed her resilience during that time definitely is. And joining us today is Melody Golding. She is a photographer. She is an author, an artist from Vicksburg, and she's got out an exhibit at the two Mississippi museums on Hurricane Katrina. So welcome, Melody.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on your show.
Well, and I appreciate that you took these beautiful photos during a time when other people probably weren't necessarily thinking about it. It is hard to believe it's almost been 20 years, Melody. I think most of us who are at least alive and above the age of 5 probably remember exactly where we were that day, could tell you the next couple of days leading up after the storm actually hit. So for you, take us back 20 years. What was life like for you during the day of or sort of those days after?
Well, when we all knew that Hurricane Katrina was going to come ashore, we knew that she was going to be a big one. And, of course, we all hunkered down and stayed close to the TVs because at that point we still had electricity. And then when Hurricane did come ashore and the next day we were able to see the devastation that it had occurred, it was just breathtaking. I think no one could believe their eyes. And my son, my oldest son was at Mississippi State University. My youngest son was still at home in high school. And he started going to the Red Cross. They were setting up shelters, and he was gathering blankets and baby items and all kinds of things that people needed. And it really inspired me. So I started helping with the Red Cross, too. I knew that I would not be any good with going to the coast and rebuilding. That's just not, you don't want me to build anything. But my sister-in-law, my husband's sister, had come and evacuated to our home. She was from Ocean Springs, and I was going to take her back home on day 8, and I thought, I think I'll just take all the seats out of my car, and I went to the Red Cross, and I packed it full of MREs, meals ready to eat, water, first aid items, baby items, all kinds of things that they thought people would need who had remained on the coast throughout the storm and afterwards. And at the last minute, I threw in my camera. My cameras, I had about 5 different film cameras and a cooler full of all of my film. And when I got to the coast, I thought, I think what I want to do to help, what I can do to help, is to tell the story of what happened in Mississippi. So this is a chronicle. It's a 1-year chronicle of what happened after Hurricane Katrina, and it is only about Mississippi and Mississippians.
Melody, did you have, and obviously you did, nobody just has 5 cameras and a cooler full of film, which goes to show you that we still had film and things back 20 years ago. It's a little bit different than maybe now. So was photography already something you were doing to share stories, or just a hobby, or more of a hobby for you at this point?
No, I had, it began as a hobby, but I had fine-tuned it and brought it in to my life where I was doing a lot of photography for other people, not really on a professional level because I still had kids at home. But so I had all the cameras, and I had a mentor, cinematographer from New York, who we had gone on several shoots, and he mentored me a lot in the art of medium format film photography. So yes, it was a part of my life already.
Do you remember the first picture you took?
Oh my.
No, on the coast. Maybe, in life too, but I meant with the hurricane.
Probably the first picture that I took on my way to the coast was probably in Hattiesburg, because that's where I began to see the devastation, was in Hattiesburg. And, that's where I began to see the trees that were bent and all kinds of trash and things that was in the trees because of the hurricane. So probably my first photograph was in Hattiesburg, and then I just kept shooting for a year after that.
What inspired you to shoot? Like, I mean, obviously you could turn around and take a picture of just about anything. I would imagine, too, Melody, once you got to the Mississippi Gulf Coast and visiting her surrounding communities, you were overwhelmed at things that could be taken photos of. But what was kind of drawing you in? What kind of captured your eye through the camera?
Well, for me, it was mostly the human aspect. You know, I wanted to tell the story that people couldn't tell because they were so busy surviving. Their homes had been blown away, their belongings, everything, just their way of life had been taken. And, you know, the last thing they had time to do was sit around and talk about anything except surviving. And so it's a human story. It's a testament to the universal themes of struggle and hope and then recovery from Hurricane Katrina.
Have you been back to the Gulf Coast and taken photos now to compare maybe like a building that had been damaged and now has been rebuilt or something different?
Well, because I had covered the entire coast from Pearlington to Pascagoula, you know, that's a pretty wide swath of territory. But I have been back, and you can't imagine my joy at how it has been rebuilt and revived, and it's better. It's a better place, and that's very, it's wonderful. It's a wonderful fairy tale ending to what happened after Katrina 20 years later. It's good.
The photo that we have for SuperTalk TV, Melody, is the one that says, "Do not allow Katrina to steal your joy." I love that you captured that, right? Like that just says, a picture's worth 1,000 words, and you got a lot in that one photograph. How many photographs are in the the exhibit there at the two Mississippi museums?
Yes. Yes, I agree. That do not allow Katrina to steal your joy, for me, really has a wider meaning because people face challenges every day in their life. It doesn't have to be a Katrina, even though that was huge. But, you know, people face all kinds of terrible things. And if you can allow it not to steal your joy, you can overcome the struggle. And the people on the Mississippi Gulf Coast were a testament to that. I knew that the indomitable strength, spirit, and courage of the people of Mississippi would overcome adversity, and they did. And it's there for all to see, you know, and the things that have happened in our nation since then. I think people did look to Mississippi for guidance in how to deal with travesty.
And now we can have a walk through memory lane and sort of rejoice in where we're at now on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, 20 years removed from Hurricane Katrina, through your photographs. I know it's open now until, I think, November the 7th. So what can people expect? How many photographs are there, Melody, or is it kind of late? How is it laid out?
Well, it's laid out in chronological order. It's the devastation, the resilience, and the recovery. And I'll just tell you, the people at the Mississippi Department of Archives and the museum exhibition team have just been just wonderful and just a joy to work with. And I think that it has just been a perfect symbiosis of them wanting to have an exhibit and me having the work for the exhibit. It comprises not only the photographs, but quotes from people who survived the storm at that time. And so it's pretty fresh, as if you were there when it happened. And also, my youngest son, went with me to the coast, and we traveled from, like I said, Pearlington to Pascagoula, and we filmed the devastation. So there's a film also. So it's photography, quotes from people who had survived the storm, and the film of the devastation and the recovery.
Well, I encourage people to get out and see it. If they want to see any more of your work, Melody, I know you've got books and other things going on. Where can they find you and your work?
They can find me at www.melodygolding.com. But I would like to add that my book, Mississippi Katrina Remember, which was published by the University Press of Mississippi, I donated all of the royalties to people on the coast who were impacted by Hurricane Katrina. So if you buy a book, which will be for sale at the museum or Lemuria Bookstore or online, all of the royalties go back to people on the coast.
I love that melody, and I love, again, your photo. Don't allow it to steal your joy. That's going to be my takeaway today with you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you so very much. I appreciate you having me on.
All righty, you guys stick with us. We got more for you coming up next.